Hello and welcome to part two of a three-part series on psychological, sexual, spiritual integration. This present talk will specifically focus on sexual integration. In this part of the series, I will approach sexual integration as a life force and as an expression of life itself. If we were to look at the history of human sexuality, you will find that it is quite extensive, dating back to the erotic engravings from the Stone Age thousands of years ago. Now, in terms of a more contemporary reflection, we need to recognize that sexuality in the United States and Britain was shaped by the 19th century Victorian period. And this was a time when sexuality became restricted, considered only to be discussed within the home. The rule: maintain silence. The model to be followed and supported was the reproductive couple. Speech in general on the topic of human sexuality was censored. Also, at this time, a child's sexuality did not even exist, and thus everybody was forbidden to even speak about it. According to Michel Foucault, the French philosopher, who wrote in his three-volume exploration titled The History of Sexuality, he noted that in the 19th century, human sexuality was, and I quote, "Human sexuality was incorporated into two orders of knowledge: the biology of reproduction and the medicine of sex. Though the two fields didn't really establish mutual interactions which would foster understanding, it became accepted that sexuality itself would be best understood through medical assessment and treatment. And in terms of the legality of sexual relations, sex was designated as normal versus abnormal, allowed versus forbidden. In some, suppression was enforced with the legal threat of punishment. Now, shifting into the early 1900s, whether one agrees with his theories or not, Sigmund Freud catapulted the understanding of human sexuality with his major work in 1905 titled Three Essays on Sexuality. He introduced the idea that children's sexual wishes and fantasies begin at birth. And this was a direct challenge to European beliefs that our sexuality does not begin until puberty. Freud himself wrote in his introductory lectures, "It is the astounding that the human race for so long clung to the belief that children were asexual beings." From his position, he hypothesized that a child's sexuality moves through successive developmental changes through the child's first 12 to 14 years. How the child and parents or primary caregivers react to the child's successive changes has long-term effects. One area that Freud addressed that is often not noted in the review of Freud's writings is that he believed that we are faced with the task of harmonizing our sexual impulses with our loving impulses. This can be a challenge. And so it would be a great benefit for each of us to explore any split between our loving self and our sensual self. Masters of Johnson attempted in their book Sex and Human Loving, published in 1982, to define love and sexual desire. From their perspective, in moments of intensity, it may be very difficult to separate. They stated in general, I'm quoting, that sexual desire tends to be narrowly focused, with feelings of caring and respect minimal. The desire to know the other person is defined in a physical way or sensual way, but not in a spiritual way. Whereas with loving, caring, and respect are central in the moment. And although there is a yearning for sexual intimacy, respect for the other is of central concern. Those are their exact words. Erich Fromm, the noted psychologist, psychoanalyst, and humanistic pioneer, maintained in his book, The Art of Loving, that the paradox of love is that beings become one and yet remain two. Is this not familiar in the belief that we are all one, yet we are distinctly ourselves? We share commonalities, yet maintain our own individuality. The key, I believe, to sexual integration is love. Love of oneself and of other. How one wishes to express their sexuality and love is one of personal choice. But the question remains, are they integrated into our lives? To answer this question, we must look at our personal beliefs, our values, our attitudes, and our experiences. It is a process of continually investing energy into ourselves to discover what is our relationship to love and sexuality. Thank you.